Hi, welcome to Ocean Yumi's channel. So I thought I'll restart this again because um I feel this is something important to talk about. This is an ongoing thing that goes on as well. So are children growing up too fast? Or do you think it's down to the parents? Or do you think it's down to society? Or do you think it's down to um what's it, the norm? Um I was on a reactors page to yesterday, today. You know that I follow the mummy sector and stuff be going on. So I was on a reactors page and there was a child that was very not dressed inappropriately. The mum was is very laid back. I'm sure I've spoken about her. I'm not going to talk about her. I'm just going to use her as an example. So the daughter called her a derogatory term and also said, because there was a race or something, and she called her the derogatory term. The next video I saw of her is of the party or something, and she's wearing a very short skirt. A very short skirt. She's only 12, and the mom is like the friend. The next mom is like the prom, to do with the prom. So the daughter's in the camera, the mom's fighting to be in the camera with the daughter, kind of competing kind of situation. Now, though we know these scenarios happen on a daily basis between mothers and daughters, well, mothers mostly, it's not even the daughters, it's to do with the mothers. When mothers are coming to age and they see their daughters, coming into age, they realize that, but I'm not saying in general, they realize that their time is over in a kind of way, and the daughters coming up now is the daughters that's going to take the place, which means that how they are feeling like as though they are not attractive, so they feel like they got to be in competition with the daughter. Now, the reason why I call this children growing up fast, because when I saw that, I just started looking at my own family, which you do. You start looking at your own family and all that stuff. And like my daughter, I think I was told by one auntie that how, because I don't show a lot of myself anyway, one of my daughters mimic how I dress. Okay, at one point she did, right? Which is not showing a lot, keeping things a mystery. And yeah, what I'm saying. So I decided to do this live based on a few things, right? And it's not to have a go at nobody, it's not a judgment. I'm just speaking in general because it is not a blanket conversation. It's not like, okay, that person is like this and that person like this. Now, as they say, that environment creates the person, environment makes the person who they are, environment and experiences makes a person who they are. Now, some women has been through a hell of a lot of stuff, right? When they were younger. Some women was okay, they had a cushy upbringing, and some women and men has had a very rough time growing up, so they are able to sort of change the tables of things, or sometimes they repeat cycles. This happens a lot. Now, some cycles ideally can be broken, sometimes broken by the child, because the child will say to the mom, I don't want to be like you, or the son will say, I don't want to be like my father, basically. And sometimes these cycles can break. In most cases, the cycles do not be broken because the son has a lot to prove to the father, the daughter have a lot to prove to the mother, especially if the mother is not paying attention or certain stuff to the daughter, particularly. Now, there is some really hovering parents. They call them helicopter parents. There's almond parents. There's all parenting. There's all types of different parenting, right? No parenting is the same because everybody parents different, and it all depends on status and what levels they are in life. Now, the reason why I brought up the one with the daughter dressing provocatively in the conversation, because the mom in this case wants attention. She wants to be seen. She wants attention herself because of whatever, having children early, whatever the case is. So there she feels that how her daughter is now her friend, right? Which is very dangerous. It's a very dangerous ground, because like if you think like that, right, it can become very dangerous for both you and your daughter, right? And it's not like there is lots of I say downsides as well as upsides, right? I mean, fair enough, right? Mothers can be friends with their daughters, but on a different level, because the mother still have to mother the daughter. You still have to be able to mother the daughter, the teenager who's becoming a woman, coming into herself. So, like, yeah. So that's one aspect of it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna play this that children are getting. I'm not calling them kids because kids means goat. Children are getting older. Hold on, what did it say? Children are getting older, younger. Are children growing up fast? And I think this is, yeah, down to a lot of factors. Like I said, social media, what's the word I say? Sexualization and programs and all different stuff. Okay. And in certain countries, childhood is not what it is. Some children, childhoods, right, where they have to take care of families or whatever. Or it could be a mum had passed away, and then the child, the older child, has to take care of the younger ones, and they turn into an adult themselves. Some either become young mothers in most respects, like, you know what I mean, because like they have to grow up fast. Okay, let me see.
Let us know you agreed to cookies. Let us know you agreed to cookies. This website is produced by BB Social Media, pampering parents, increased pressure to succeed. Kids these days deal with a lot. But is it making them grow up faster or slower than previous generations? Kids these days don't get to be kids anymore, say the adults who remember a childhood free from the rules, oversight, and digital pressures today's young people navigate. In some ways, it may be true. The average parent allows their child a smartphone at age 10, opening up a world inaccessible to previous generations, with unlimited access to news, social media, and other privileges previously reserved for adults, forcing them into emotional maturity before they reach adulthood. There's a term for it, KGOY, or kids getting older younger, meaning children are more savvy than previous generations. Rooted in marketing, the idea is because of KGOY, kids have greater brand awareness, so products should be advertised to children rather than their parents. The theory has been around since the '90s, and ever since, experts have attempted to prove out the early demise of childhood by pointing to causes ranging from the age at which they get a smartphone, to the fact that kids are now watching more adult television programs, to the problem of teenage girls being pressured to think about their appearance due to greater exposure to beauty ideals on social media. Yet though many worry that kids may seem to be growing up too quickly, there's also evidence that they could, in fact, be maturing more slowly. Gen Z are consistently reaching traditional markers of adulthood such as finishing education and leaving home later than previous generations, and studies have shown that teenagers are engaging in adult activities such as having sex, dating, drinking alcohol, going out without their parents and driving much later than previous generations. Technology may be exposing kids to more, making them intellectually savvier. Yet whether they are actually growing up more quickly may be a matter of perspective. It may also be time to update what we think of as the milestones of maturation, and what it really means to grow up fast. Children can communicate with strangers without supervision, which leads to an increased risk of cyberbullying or adult conversations. Willoof Jenkins, credit, Getty Images. Family Tree. This story is part of BBC's Family Tree series, which examines the issues and opportunities parents, children, and families face today, and how they'll shape the world tomorrow. Find more on BBC Future. What is childhood? To understand how we measure growing up, it's important to think about what most people mean by childhood and adulthood. Excluding biological measures such as when children hit puberty, our understanding of childhood is largely a social construction. People have different views of what it means depending on when and where they've grown up, making it difficult to measure or quantify. In most countries, people are considered adults from the age of 18, but this varies. In Japan, you are legally a child until you are 20, while in other countries such as Iran, individuals as young as 9 years old can be treated as adults in law. Definitions of childhood have also varied historically. In the 19th century, it was common for children under the age of 10 to work, and the idea of being a teenager didn't really exist until the 1940s. Before then, adolescents were simply seen to transition straight from childhood to adulthood. How, then, do we understand the idea of growing up more quickly, and is it really the case? The basic stages of children's development aren't changing, says Shelley Pasnick, Senior Vice President and Director of the Center for Children and Technology, a research group based at the Education Development Center, New York. The external world is constantly shifting, but children's cognitive and emotional milestones stay the same. And Pasnick points out, it's difficult to measure and quantify the idea of growing up in a social and cultural sense. There are so many cross-cultural, linguistic and developmental aspects to childhood that it's almost impossible to pinpoint any one thing as being the primary influence on how quickly children grow and age. There's also evidence people tend to idealize their own childhood, imagining it as a more carefree and happy time. It's possible adults who complain that children today are maturing more rapidly may well be comparing them to a skewed and nostalgic view of their own youth that doesn't quite compare to reality. Media-delivered ideas. What has changed is kids' exposure to information, says Pasnick, through video platforms to caregiver phones, social media platforms and interactive speakers with unlimited capacity to push content. Children are now constantly getting what Pasnick calls media-delivered ideas, content aimed at adults and viewed mostly over the internet, much sooner than previous generations. There is increased exposure to violent or sexual content at a younger age, which causes a desensitization and normalization, because children's brains aren't fully developed to process this in a way that an adult brain can, says Dr. Willoof Jenkins, an inpatient director of psychiatry at Rady Children's Hospital, San Diego. Of course, part of the exposure is to other people, too. Children can communicate with strangers without supervision, which leads to an increased risk of cyberbullying or adult conversations that they are not equipped to handle. There is increased exposure to violent or sexual content at a younger age, which causes a desensitization and normalization, Willoof Jenkins. All of this, says Pasnick, can lead to children confronting adult realities before they are developmentally ready to do so, something that is often interpreted as growing up too quickly. Jenkins is quick to point out, however, that technology is neither bad nor good, and that there's plenty of scaremongering around youth's increased access to social media. It's an oft-cited anecdote that in previous generations parents worried about their children watching television, and now social media has become the new societal ill for people to fear. In fact, exposure to content not available to previous generations can be a good thing. Technology enables children to independently seek knowledge and to think critically, due to their access to a wider range of sources. For children in remote areas, the ability to find more knowledge and social connections outside their immediate family can be invaluable, as can accessing support and community for minority groups. Or staying young longer. Technology is far from the only social force affecting how children develop, and at what pace. Over the past few decades, parenting has become more intensive in the US and many other countries, and children today can expect more structured play, extracurricular activities, and parental supervision than previous generations. The topic of how this affects children is hotly debated. One argument is that heightened expectations placed on children to optimize their time in adult-like ways lead to unnecessary stress, and a loss of an important, carefree stage of childhood, while another argument is that they lead to a generation of pampered young adults unable to think for themselves, and a prolonged and unhealthy childhood. Experts say technology is neither bad nor good, and that there's plenty of scaremongering around youth's increased access to social media. Credit, Getty Images. There's been quite a bit of discussion, especially in recent years, about children's lives becoming more institutionalized and controlled, says William Corsaro, a professor emeritus of sociology at Indiana University. He points to hovering parents and children's involvement in extracurricular activities and lessons outside school, and to overstated fears about children's safety and lower birth rates, meaning fewer at-home playmates, as factors that make children mature more slowly. This theory is echoed by Jean Twenge in her 2017 book iGen. Based on a survey of 11 million US-based young people, Twenge argued that kids born after 1995 are, contrary to much popular wisdom, growing up more slowly, engaging in milestones traditionally considered adult far later than their older counterparts. This is, in part, because smartphones allow children to socialize from their own home, making them less likely to engage in activities such as drinking with peers or sex, but she also points to an evolutionary idea known as life history theory, which classifies maturation of species into slow and fast strategies. The safer the environment, the more slowly they have to mature. Today, in an age of low birth rates and high life expectancies, children tend to be closer to their parents and grow up in a safer environment, and thus can mature more slowly. This means that they aren't pushed towards independence in the same way that children in a maturation environment, what previous generations experienced, might be. In an age of low birth rates and high life expectancies, children tend to be closer to their parents and grow up in a safer environment, and thus can mature more slowly. Although something of a wild card, the pandemic also seems to be exacerbating this trend. Children stayed at home instead of going to school, weren't able to travel to attend university, and were furloughed from the jobs that offered a first taste of independence. By most traditional measures, they were unable to grow up at the rate that children just a few years ahead of them had done, yet by other measures they were exposed to uncomfortable truths and social responsibilities such as mask wearing that forced them to confront the adult world more quickly.
Okay, and I also want to show a video as well about what I was just saying earlier. Let me see if I can get it. Let me play that. Okay, it's going to play about a little bit now. I didn't check my thing today. Let's see, I can move some or whatever's bugging it. see if it's gonna play. Won't be playing. Okay. Oh, it's being long. Okay, you know what? I'm not waiting for this. I'm not waiting for this one. I'm gonna play it on here. I'll play it on my phone. Let me see.
Looking for a legit work from home job? Start with the companies. We've got a list for that.
Who are you mentoring to be able to tell that's not gonna work out well? Why is it that men are
I hate when it does that. Anyways, let's move along. If I have to cut that part out, it's fine. That happens.
we have also internalized a lot of these narratives about leading on and being a bit too provocative, and why are you wearing that? Why shouldn't she show her belly button? She's 13. Are you Leslie's father at 3? Hello and welcome to the To My Sisters podcast. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Renee, and we are your online sisters and hosts of the To My Sisters podcast.
We are all about promoting the wellness, growth, and development of a community of sisters across the world.
And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about whether the girls are growing up so fast. Adultification, maturation, insert word, and then endation.
Hateration.
All of that good stuff amidst the rise of social media and various pressures and makeup and hair and all sorts of stuff. Are the girls getting too big for their boots too quickly? It's about to be a thick one. But first of all, we're still alive.
Oh, we give God eternal glory. We are alive to tell the tale.
We got all sorts of foot ulcers. Our ankles are swollen. But we just want to say a big thank you, first of all, to all the ladies that came out yesterday. Like, ladies, it was amazing being out here with you,
really was.
fellowshipping with you, going
Not
through
fellowship.
into the ding.
Dilemma.
All right. Now, this is a bit of an awkward one. I can't lie to you. Hey, sisters.
Hey, babes.
I'm a fellow sister from Belgium with Congolese
nice.
roots.
We've been to Belgium. It's great. It's lovely.
We have big up sisters with Congolese roots. Yes. I love a fellow Congolese sister. Hey. Hey, Yaya. What's good?
Wow.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it's very tangential, but I really love that Yaya.
I know,
I
right?
love it so much.
It's so endearing.
So nice.
Man. First, I want to say that I'm glad I discovered you guys, and I love you both so much.
Oh, I love you.
I've been listening since the episode You're Going to End Up Alone, and since then, I download your episodes to listen to it on my way to work.
Thank you.
Before I explain my dilemma, I want to give a fun fact. Courtney and I share the same birthday.
No
Different birth
way!
year. I was so thrilled when I found that out.
May the 4th,
Come on.
baby!
Too much.
Yeah.
They deem to be important. So they may be thinking, okay, yeah, I've raised you, I've had to maybe sacrifice finances for you. Where you a young girl, where you go in that you'll need, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds. But for us, it's the sense of ownership and the fact that, firstly, you're my parent, you're my guardian, you have to pay these things for me. And secondly, this money is mine. Unless we have come to an agreement that we share it, or there's some kind of responsibility that I take care of in the household. And so I do think that it's unfortunate that some parents feel that kind of entitlement, but at the same time, you kind of have to navigate around it, which brings me to my second point. So the first point is you're not getting that money back. Just write off the debt. Just write off the debt. Get back to work, put your head down, because it could just cause more problem than it's not that it's worth, because I'm sure it's a lot of money and it means a lot to you to have that money back, but it's going to be an argument. It's a lot. Write that money off, yeah? And do not tell your mum. how much you're making.
Do you,
If it was me
do you know what? Do
personally,
you know what?
I'd even become unemployed.
I was thinking the exact same thing too. I was like, is it problematic if I suggest this?
This is why this is why people hide their salaries from their parents.
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
completely
yeah.
understand. And to be fair, even me, my parents hide their salaries from me.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
one thing about me, once I become privy to
Some
that
information.
you cannot tell
Open
me
up.
I don't have money.
Open
Oh
up.
no, you're gonna buy me
Open
some
up.
stuff. Do you get what I mean? And I think most people are like that. Like the reason why we kind of conceal certain information from some people is they will start moving differently once they know that, and we may not be prepared for the demands that puts on us.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
completely fine. Like it's actually fine to have financial boundaries with your parents. And honestly, like for me, maybe okay, but now she knows I work. Now she knows roughly how much I have. I don't want to encourage anybody to lie, but you need to go home and next time she asks you for money, I don't have any. Why? I've been managing it poorly.
Yeah.
So she doesn't need to know how much money you have.
She don't
like
even
she really
need to know that you're saving, bro.
At all.
I
Like
mean, you shouldn't have even told her vacation
in the first place.
Like
Like
school fees
was something else like necessary because it's
Young people look at
unfortunate
things
that
so
for
different.
and it doesn't have to be like this with everyone. So please, if you are listening to this dilemma and this is not your dilemma, we're not saying anyone who earns money should hide it from their parents
100%.
because it's actually really good to have your parents' inputs into how you should steward your money. And that's how a lot of financial wisdom and financial literacy actually gets passed on from generation to generation. And so I do think aiming for financial transparency in a family is actually really important. But if you exist within a family where that's not going to be possible, range, I guess, in terms of the study you were talking about, that's like the 11, like teenagers. So let's talk about the 10 to 16-year-olds. I do think it's interesting when you are growing up in a technological age where you have got such ready access to so much news. And like just this push notification culture, people are getting phones at younger age, access to social media at younger ages. It's really important to note that I get that people may think, why are you growing up so fast? But they are aware of so much more than you probably were aware of when you were their age. And so the maturity needed, like the mental, emotional maturity needed, even if like cognitively your brain has not developed to be able to deal with these issues. If you're being confronted at the age of 13 with the fact that there's a global climate crisis, there's a financial crisis, there's all these things,
right?
Your attention is going to be, how am I going to survive? Like if people are going to tell me that the world might not be here by the time I'm 35, I'm trying to fit all my lifetime into right now. And I think a lot of people are growing up too fast because they're trying to experience life in a world which is telling them you may not have that long to live. Do you get what I mean? Or the capability when you get older to live well, because like buying a house is going to be harder. So people, if somebody tells you, right, buying a house now is like 10 times harder than it was 10 years ago, right? You're going to start 10 years earlier to try and get a head start.
Exactly,
do you know what I mean? So that's why the girls are out here with, and also like buying stuff is more expensive now, right? So we would go out with our £3 a day allowances. £3 a day is not buying you much anymore. Do you get what I mean? And so now it's like, okay, if I actually want to enjoy myself, and that's I wouldn't say every teen's goal, but like teenagers want to have fun, they want to enjoy their friends, they want to be popular, or they want to be socially accepted in whatever circles. That costs money. There's a buy-in to social acceptance. If you don't have the money, if your parents also don't have money because they're also living in an economic crisis, what are you going to do? Side hustles, work. The internet's giving you so much information as well about how to make money. You're going to embark on that, And if you don't, whether the way you embark on it is good or not, like morally right or not, if you don't, there are social consequences, right? Because you can't partake in these things which are bringing people popularity and social acceptance. And so then there's also the front of, well, what's the psychological impact of that, or the mental impact of not being able to participate in that? And it's
Well, they're talking too much.
Have you ever wondered what your soulmate looks like? A gifted psychic
point.
artist can reveal that to you right now. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel.
day that everyone has said that every generation after them is problematic, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to be acting like the boomers when they talk about Gen Z. And we're going to talk about this because I'm sorry, I'm trying not to sound like that older generation person, but it's giving this next generation is going to be a hot mess, and it is concerning. So let's start off with number one of the most problematic aspect of Gen Alpha and why we do not know how they are going to be in the future. And that is what teachers saying these kids cannot read or write. Teachers have been coming out of the woodworks saying that these students are underperforming significantly compared to students pre-COVID. So according to the Northwest Evaluation Association, which is a global not-for-profit educational services organization that is located in Portland, Oregon, which partners with over 3,500 educational organizations worldwide to provide research-based additive assessments, professional development, and research services. And that is according to YingHuaAcademy.org. So they are stating that students are not picking up the material as quickly as students pre-pandemic. And more specifically, they are discussing in reading and math. And in a lot of cases, the academic gap is widening when they expected it to actually decrease since the pandemic has now kind of slowed down a bit. So they came to this conclusion due to a report that analyzed 6.7 million public schools in the United States of America. They discovered that public school students in grades 3 through 8 are still making progress at a much slower rate than the students pre-COVID. And from their estimates, they have discovered that these students on average will need an equivalent of 4.1 additional months of learning and skills in reading and 4.5 additional months in math to reach and meet pre-pandemic levels of scholarly achievement. And more in that report, they analyzed that these test scores continue to decline and decline and decline. Why is this? A lot of people, and mainly teachers, the ones that are physically in these learning environments, are believing that a lot of this stems from at home. Parents are not doing their jobs. And all of my points that kind of attaches to this claim, or at least my research that I have done that believes that a lot of the behaviors that is happening with Gen Alpha has to do with the parents, all kind of connects back to what the teachers are saying. So here are a few clips of teachers speaking on the fact that their students are progressing very slowly, and they are agreeing with the NWEA. And clearly the research stands.
Sounded okay.
With what the teachers are saying.
No, y'all, can we talk about it? Can we please talk about it? Let's take a moment to discuss. Let's take a moment to debrief. Let's take a moment to unpack. So I'm not really understanding why they're not telling y'all. Like, we all know that the world is behind, like, globally, like, because of the pandemic and stuff. But I don't understand why they're not stressing to y'all how bad it is. Like, I'm not even trying to be funny, but these kids are... I'm going to just say this. I teach 7th grade. They are still performing on the 4th grade level. I don't care how you flip it, turn it, swing it, swindle it. They still performing on the 4th grade level. Ain't nobody talking about how they just keep moving, passing them on. They just keep...
Do you know what's so strange? Me and my daughter spoke about this, I think it's gone off my thing, what I'm talking about. I think it's gone totally the opposite of what I was talking about. I don't think that's the one. Basically, this video is explaining why children are under, are not getting to the levels they're supposed to be of academically. That's what this one's about. That's not talking about the subject I'm talking about. I really want to talk about why children are going up fast. That's my thing.
Girls mature so quickly these days. Well, person has it worse, or like an oppression Olympics sort of way, because I always say this, it's all relative to what each person has experienced, right? Just because someone over here has broken 5 bones doesn't mean that the fact that you've broken 1 bone hurts you any less, because all you've experienced is 1 broken bone. A lot of people are bringing up parentification, and I just want to explain this for people that may not have heard this phrase before. Parentification occurs when the roles between a child and parent are reversed.
When the child becomes the adult.
To step up and be the caretaker, mediator, or protector of the family. Personally, I think that parentification is more bound to occur if people have been through divorce or trauma or disability or illness, and especially each one of those combined kind of adds a layer, if that makes sense, like kind of what happened with my household. And I will not be going into detail about any of that. I'm okay to share my story and my side of things and how things have impacted me, even though I won't really be sharing much, because I'm literally that meme of like when you say a joke and then people are like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened. And then you're like, oh, so I'm just saving that stuff for my therapist, okay? And also for my family's privacy, I don't really want to go unearthing their stuff when it's their story, you know what I mean? So yeah, parentification came up for a lot of you, especially around the eldest daughter experience trademark. I think that this
Yeah, I think a lot of people did this before actually, because like it was all said that the older one looks after the younger ones. Yeah. And especially when you grow up in West Indian homes, that's the norm, where the older ones look after the younger ones. It's the thing. It's a thing, really. Some like in most cases, the child becomes the parent. They talk to you differently. Sometimes it crosses lines. Is crazy. The lines get crossed so badly that they are very, at one point it's like they're rude to you. You have to sort of assert yourself in a kind of a way so they know, okay, I'm the parent, you're still my child. You can be 30, 40, 50, you're still my child. Yeah, and also at certain times, right, parents was working a lot of times, so the children had to look after the children, literally had to grow themselves. And this is why some children grow up fast, right? Like, i.e., if the mum is not good at cooking or certain stuff, like some children are brought up in homes where the mums never cooked at all. I remember watching Jamie Oliver go to one house and all the mum ate was fish and chips or chicken and chips most of the time. It wasn't seen as a treat. This was like their meal, like they will have when they come from school. So Jamie Oliver was saying that how they're saying to the mum, no, you got to change your thing, because then it's not seen as a family where you're sitting around the table eating, or you are sitting together eating as a family. So some children, what they will do, right, they start preparing stuff for themselves at particular ages. Some children start preparing stuff for themselves. Particularly, they start off with frying an egg, doing pancakes, doing little things. Till they become the adult, they literally take the role of the adult. Bear in mind that how not all situations are the same. Some situations could be that the mum is on substances, alcohol, something, right? So the child will be in that environment. So they take on that parent role automatically. Like, so they start looking after themselves. Not only that, right, they try to keep their own self safe, because the mum sometimes doesn't be around to, help or whatever. But parentification, I read it just a while before she said it. I just read that just a while ago, and it's like, yeah, where they take the place of the parent, where they be the parent, then they play that parent role. It's not for all children. Some children are lucky where they don't have to play the parent role, but other children come into that space where they have to play that role.
This is like a brand in itself, the eldest daughter experience, because so much extra burden, it typically does get put on the eldest girl. It does definitely happen to boys as well, especially, as I said before, it can happen to any gender.
Yeah, boys, I think boys is the money. Is when boys have a lot to prove to the world. So they'll take on the role as the man of the house, right? They like they want to bring in the money. They want to do certain stuff. They go out there and do wrong things to even bring in the money. It's crazy.
But in particular, when it comes to girls, they typically get leaned on from the more nurturing side of things, that more you're naturally helping side of things, because you're leading into your natural instincts as opposed to as what will be talking about actually being molded into that. Now, getting onto the responses from the survey, if you do ever want to participate in a survey to help inform these videos, don't forget to subscribe, because that's how you'll actually find out. And also hit that bell notification, otherwise YouTube just conveniently forgets to let you know that I've uploaded stuff. And I always post them in my community tab, so go and check them out there. Let's have a look at the locations. They broke down as 47.5% from the USA, 4.7% from Canada, 8.6% from the UK, 2.9% Australia, 2% Aotearoa, New Zealand, 2.3% Finland, 1.4% France, 1.3% India, 1.4% Netherlands, 1.1% Norway, 2.5% Poland, 1.1% Romania, 1.3% Turkey, 2.5% Germany. However, I did forget to include Germany at the start of even launching the survey. I must have just skipped it completely, and I know I've got a lot of subscribers there, so I'm sorry about that. So some that were in the other category actually fit into the Germany category, but the rest of the countries, it was all below a percentage. But it's kind of global, but as you can see, as per usual, because this is YouTube and this is obviously English speaking, majority of the audience are from the USA. I also asked, did you grow up with siblings? 41.4% said yes, I'm the eldest. 17.5% said yes, I'm a middle or middle-ish kid. 27.1%, yes, I'm the youngest. Same as me. 13.9%, no, it's just me. I really do think it's important to include the sibling issue here, because you can sort of see disparities and changes in how each sibling is treated, right? I honestly was not surprised that eldest children actually leapt at the chance to be able to actually share that experience, because I could see a lot of thoroughfares, a lot of issues when it came to being the eldest child and all of the extra responsibility that comes along with that. I think that every single eldest child has kind of had a bit of extra weight put on them. You know what I mean?
She needs a better role model. I agree with your mother. You are a disappointment to her alma
Do parents have different expectations of their kids because of their gender? There is a really fascinating website which dove into this issue a lot further. Even from when kids are babies, their gender even affects how capable their parental figures think they will be. This is shown from a study where parents were asked how high of an incline they thought their baby would be able to climb. The boys were actually considered to be able to climb a steeper incline than baby girls, because of the inherent manliness of the baby, because such baby muscles in those little baby arms. Then when the boys are growing up a bit more, they actually get process praise, which is defined as praise for a child's efforts and strategies. It accounts for 24.4% of the praise the boys receive, whereas for the girls it only accounts for 10.3%. Being given more process praise from a young age, which is 14 to 38 months, put boys at an advantage, as it makes them significantly more likely to have developed a growth mindset by the ages of 7 to 8. This impacts children's career goals, even with girls being steered away from STEM, despite what is trying to happen at the moment, because they get taught that they should lean into their natural abilities better, and more investment is given to boys' education and preparation for saving for his ongoing education in comparison to girls. And when it comes to playtime with children, the boys, from whatever gender the parent was, the boys always got more playtime attention than what the girls did. When it came to quality time with the parents for the girl, it was normally around helping the parents do something as opposed to playtime, which just breaks my heart quite a bit. It really does. So these are from the studies, right? But I got you to answer this question. I asked, if you grew up with siblings, were gender roles typically followed when it came to responsibilities given to each of you? And was the amount of work given to girls more? If you grew up without siblings, were you treated like a, quote, grown up and expected to do more around the house? I was keenly interested in the whole chores debate because it can be seen.
To me, I think chores should be for boys and girls. I don't think it should just be for girls only. I mean, a lot have changed from the 90s. Bear in mind, before it used to be a thing where girls will men will just say that how if a man meets you, he would expect you to know what's in the kitchen. He would expect you to know how to cook. He would expect you to know how to clean. Some girls wasn't brought up like that, but clearly it's taken a long time for people to realize that men also be in the kitchen as well. Boys were also allowed to be in the kitchen. some mothers installed in some boy children, men, at a young age, that how if you don't take care of yourself, and if a woman, she's not able to cook, she ain't gonna take care of you. So some boys are brought up in that kind of environment where they will literally like start cooking at a young age as well, basically. But some girls also be learning to cook at a young age because them days it was said that how if you can't cook even an egg or nothing, no man will want you, which a lot of mothers put into their daughter's head or children's head. Some mothers, however, will force their children to clean up weekends. Well, not really forced. In most West Indian houses, this is how it goes. On a Saturday was the cleaning day. Everybody be cleaning, from the smallest one to the oldest one be cleaning, unless the older one is the like the oldest one, where they be making sure that the younger ones eat breakfast, all sorts of things. Now the boys, well, I mean, for your boys can cook. Boys can cook. And boys are also pushed so that they can be the man of the house. You see, the man of the house comes into play again. The man of the house, the woman of the house comes into play. And therefore, right, it's like you pushing your child to grow up real quick, real fast.
As, quote, domestic labor, which is, free, therefore women's work, because it doesn't really earn any income, so it doesn't do any good. Like, for example, I've got an older brother, but my mother was really, really careful to try and make sure that she treated us as equally as possible when it came to responsibilities, and we both had a lot of chores that we both did. I am AFAB, and both my siblings are AMAB. I was expected to do more chores than both of them. My parents definitely viewed me as being more mature and responsible. They still do. I used to have to do my own siblings' chores for them on top of my own, or we would all get screamed at. I think when it comes to cleaning the house and those kind of responsibilities around the house, it was divided evenly among us. But my brothers would sometimes purposefully do a bad job so that my mother would not ask them again to do something. To this day, I don't think she noticed what they were doing. I had an older brother and 2 younger sisters. My family tried to do the oldest having the most responsibility thing, but my brother didn't want none of it. And my parents didn't want to fight him, so it all fell on me, the eldest daughter. And my brother wouldn't be punished if...
And it's always down to the eldest daughter. The eldest daughter naturally, in most cases, the eldest daughter would naturally jump in for the other children. From what I know, for my children, the oldest one will take on responsibilities. Will take on responsibilities that the younger ones won't do. Like there's certain stuff that the older one will take on to an effect that how in most cases is a case of losing the childhood. Then later on, right, if you are a mum, you talk to your child, and the oldest one will tell you, well, mum, I had to do this, I had to do that, I had to do this. They will say, right,
responsibilities were not had.
Let's see what else.
It would just be like some outdoor work and like maybe fixing the car and stuff, like the manly things. And then actively, I saw this sometimes, actively telling the sons to not help. That made me really angry. And one of you actually said that you spoke with your brother and like you were able to, like, he's a feminist, like your brother, and I was so proud of you being able to do this. But anytime that the dad's around, the son can't be seen to help. I was also really thrilled to see that there are a number of your parents that have actually tried.
And that's very old-fashioned when they say that how the son can't help with the cooking or can't help with the cleaning or can't help with that. That's a very old-fashioned state of mind.
The hardest to make sure that things are equal. Sometimes they do follow gender roles, but they've really tried to make sure that both kids, all genders basically, were actually doing equal amounts of work, making sure that there was shared responsibility. And I think that that is really important. I think that that is so positive.
You think we should say something to her? I don't want to have to say the C word out loud. Have you seen this? What is it, honey? Did you see what they called me?
This one's very thingy too. But some of her points are very good, you know, some of her points that she said. But yeah, there is a force to make the children grow up fast. There is, and you do actually see it. You see it more. I think you see it more in, I mean, even on this social media here, you see how some mums present their children into becoming women before their time, putting them up in certain ways. You know, it's like you're taking away the childhood. That's why I'm kind of glad that the reactors sometimes do jump in on certain stuff, because childhood is one of those you can never get back. You can never ever get back. You would literally reach 40, 50, 60, 70 or whatever, and you know, it goes so quick that even when you are sitting down thinking about your childhood days, or if they were good, that how, like, you don't realize how much the childhoods disappeared or gone or whatever. So also the sexualization of children. At one point there was things going on with certain clothing places where they were dressing children in not very good clothes, not very age inappropriate clothes as well. That was another thing that kept coming up. Or like you'll go somewhere and you'll see a child not dressed properly, hot pants and all this stuff. You're thinking, oh, where's the mum? Like, you know what I mean? Like in some cases you'll think like there's some children who really give off certain energies as well. Like if the mum is not really, is all about herself. Now we're seeing this in Love After Lockup with Letitia and her daughter, where the mum is very, very involved in herself. She's very involved in herself. Then she's sitting down there talking to the children, or especially the older girl. The older girl's like looks like defeated, like whatever the mum's put on her, she just looks all defeated and all that stuff. And this definitely plays out on this YouTube here particularly, or certain programs where you see how the children, even you are kind of feeling it for the children as well. I think I've spoken about sexualization of children before, and I brought up loads of you know, I always give examples of that, like, you know, because bear in mind, right, when your child goes out there, right, there's like, you have to be aware of the people that's around the child, everything else. Now it's all well and good when they're indoors and they're helping you out and they're playing certain roles, right? But at the same time, right, they cannot be the ones who thinks that they are adulting. Adulting is a whole nother level. Adulting, especially when you have to do certain stuff, like I believe that some children sometimes shouldn't know about certain bills as well, unless something drastic happens in the house. Then, like, yeah, I would say tell the child about the bill. But then if it's two people helping, if it's like you and the child's helping together, it's different. But if it's a case of like just like the child's taking everything on, and it's quite sad to see when a child takes on everything, every little thing, like everything, like to a point that how the mum, I don't know, some mums tells a lot to their children, and some don't. Some parents literally keeps everything to themselves till it gets to that point where they have to discuss with the child certain things, change your house, change of this, change of that, change of that. You know what I'm saying? And certain things do actually impact on the house in major ways. Now, like I said, in the 90s, 90s or around about the time I was born or younger, your parents will never tell you that how they are going through certain stuff in the house. They will never bring it up. They will never ever tell you. Now that nowadays it's all totally different, right? The child and the mother seem to be on the same levels in most cases. The child and the mother seems to be in a like they're both like as though they are friends or something. Sometimes this is not good. It's not good. Like if you can lower the pressure of the child, which will be better. Some like just to make it easier for your child to grow up. Probably like you have to show them ways of doing stuff, even though like a child can show you lots of stuff too. So I'm not even gonna say that how children can't teach you new things, because I know when my children shows me new things, I'm always like, wow, I didn't know about that. I didn't know about this, right? And sometimes, right, you the parents sometimes, right, some children have a mind of what a parent is supposed to be. Not every mother's make up for that, because in their younger lives their parents wasn't there for them, so their lives kind of like it's like a learning thing. It's like the parent is constantly learning new stuff every day, coming into themselves. Sometimes I would say like they call it work in progress, but then if you know what's going on with the world around you, you don't want your child to go out real fast, because you know that there's loads of predators on the prowl. You don't know who is who. You have to be careful of certain people's that's around your child particularly. So yeah, so I definitely say the purification for me, yeah, it makes sense, because you know the child, some children really jump into it automatically. Maybe it's an inbuilt thing or what, I don't know, but some children are very much growing up too fast. Oh yeah, the sexualization of children. Also, if you watch things like that thing on TLC with like, remember the pageantry one where they put on loads of makeup on the children, tan the children, dress them like adults, have them walking around in swimsuits, all sorts of things. Now that I would say is like when a child is being brought into is in a world where like it's scrutinized. You're scrutinized on how you look, how you are, how you be, and everything. So that's how I feel where that article is coming from, because and a child really should be a child. It should be just playing with Barbies or whatever the heck they're playing with their Legos. But nowadays, obviously, because everything's on electronics, is not the same. But like, you know, it's like they lose an aspect, the aspect of being a child, because they're growing so fast. You got to wear makeup, you got to do eyebrows, you got to do nails. To me, I don't think no child should be wearing nails, makeup, and all that. I feel that should never be. A child should never have to feel that how right they gotta dress or whatever. Some children take long time to find out who they are. On a whole, they go through a very awkward stage of coming into self, being part of self, knowing themselves, and even after that, it continues onwards. It never ended. So, you know what I'm saying? So I just thought I'll do this small video, even though it's not a lot. It might be all over the place at the beginning, but I'm basically saying that how like children are really growing up fast. They are growing up really fast. Like, you know what I mean? Even when you are getting older, you're noticing how quick and rapid children are growing up, like they don't express like how we was taught to be quiet, like, you know what I mean, children should be seen and not heard. Most children are sounding their voices. Kim Kardashian's child Blue, I think her name is not Blue, I think it's Blue, I can't remember what her source is, I don't follow them like that, but I'm saying she even voiced her opinion on how her mum looked when she wore a dress or whatever. She just said, no, you don't look nice in that. You know what I mean? Look, right. I think she even said a word to the mum that the mum was even quite shocked. But once again, that's down to environment as well. So even though she might not be a very good example, but that's what came into my head. So yeah. So with that said, I'm going to leave this right here. It's a very short one, mind you, because I feel that how I need to say this, being that how I've been watching a little bit of the mummy sector stuff, and I think I have spoken about this before, but in a different way. I just thought I'd bring this in another way because everybody has different opinions on certain stuff. I do not think that a child should be wearing crop tops at young ages. No. Mini skirts, no. I don't care what the fashion is, to be honest. I don't care what the fashion is. A child should be a child. You know what I mean? They should be allowed to play. They should be allowed to be who they want to be. And that's why most adults are still trying to get in touch with their inner child because they grow up so quick. They lose that inner child that's in them. So they have to go back to that inner child to find that child, to grow that child up so that they could come forward. Otherwise, some people get stuck in that age zone, stuck in 12, stuck in 10, stuck in this. They never grow up. You can, like some right, they always say that how even older people, they sometimes do not show the best of how an adult is because some of them never grow up. They never left their childish side alone. So some people has to return back to that inner child to find that child. This is why I would say therapy is good for some people because, like, for that child, especially if the child's been through a lot of traumas, particularly growing up, because growing up for high ghetto child, because when a child's growing up fast, right, and they lose that childhood. I'm hoping my thing ain't stopped. Right, they lose the childhood, right? They have to go and initially find that inner child. That's why some adults sometimes have to, there is safe play but some adults do actually need therapies on certain stuff to deal with certain issues as well, right? Sometimes you need to go talk to the shrink, right? Sometimes you need to go and talk to the shrink because your child that grew up so fast, lost so many years. I don't know, I think my thing's playing up. Right, not so many years, wants to grow up, wants to grow up, but then he's not given a chance to grow up because they have to play the adults really fast. They have to pay bills. Some get pregnant. Some get married early. Some this, some that, and of course, in the environment to which we are brought up or whatever, particularly now. Right, there is lots of things flying at you every single day, every single moment. Even me as an adult, I get overwhelmed with a lot of stuff that is coming online. Like, you can be on so many places, you see so much things. Like, even you sometimes have to reevaluate certain stuff. Like, sometimes I have to catch myself, and then I have to say, oh yeah, or what I literally have to do. I have to plan in my head how am I going to do certain stuff because Like, especially when you're not brought up in a household where, like, they never had time for you to show you certain stuff. You therefore, like I said, have to go off and relearn everything all over again. Relearn everything all over again, right? This is where your children actually shows you another side of things, because they literally are the ones, if they're not grown up too fast or grown up fast, they will show you certain stuff. But I mean, it's not good that children grow up fast and they have to play the parent role or swap over, be the mum, or the son's got to be the dad to the mum, or whatever. This is shown in various places. There's loads of examples, loads of stuff. I can't even fathom how children are impacted. Now, you definitely, as an adult, do not want your child to turn out just like you. You don't. You really want your children to do better than you, right? Right? Even some children will initially come and say, Mom, I remember when, blah, blah, blah. I remember this, blah, blah, blah. Even with the adults, when we face our parents with certain stuff, right? Because they've been through what they've been through, grow up fast, whatever, they somehow is not able to even govern us, because it's too late. It's too late for them. They can't govern us as children. I mean, as their children, their grown children, because they still see us as the child that either they left or whatever, right? And it's the same children that still have to turn around and go and make sure that that parent's okay later on. But like I said, I don't even know whether I spoke the subject right, because I know I go off on a bender. But yeah, but it's just there's a lot of things going on now that even me as a soon 50-year-old woman be like, raw. Back in the day, it will never be like that, right? It'll never be heard of that. You know, if someone saw a child walking and she's not wearing certain stuff, they always tell her, girl, you better go turn around and go change your clothes, right? You better go change your clothes. You better make sure that how you're covered, like, you know what I mean? Because especially if you know as a parent what's about the world, what is going on, like with certain eyes peering at your child, you will want to make sure that your child is covered. Even though it's hard when they're older, sometimes they don't want to listen because they think they know it all. You say, no, oh, I don't like that. No, I don't like this. If the child says, Mom, I hate you, it's better they say, Mom, I hate you, then at least you know, like, at least you try to save their behind from worse things. Because, like I said, you don't know who's looking, who's watching, who's whatever. You don't know who's out there. Oh, it's working. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop this one. And I know I've got to edit some bits out. But I think I made the point. I don't know. Whether I made the point, not made the point, I don't know. But with that said, thank you, Ghetto Child, for coming. And I'll see you in the next one.